Absolutely. You know, it's a pretty large area. It's somewhat analogous to the Nashville Metro. We have 8 counties, you have 10. We have 41 municipalities. And we made decisions early on that we were going to think like a region, act like a region, and come together. And we really have done that. So we work real hard on coming up with programs that appeal to a wide spectrum across the political spectrum. And we really don't go out with any big initiatives until we're sure everybody is behind it and everybody supports it. Now that's difficult to come to because not everybody gets everything that they want, but we work very hard to develop consensus-driven plans and opportunities, and we've been able to bring the region together to support our transit initiatives and our planning initiatives and a lot of the work through our metropolitan planning organization. So it has worked very well. You know, it's an interesting story about MPOs. I've been to different areas around the country, and there's this bit of tension between the transit property, the cities, the metropolitan planning organizations. They all have different ideas of where they'd like to go and what their priorities are. We really don't have that. We sit down together, we work very hard so that the plans that emerge, like our 30-year vision plan, everybody's bought into it, including the transit agency. So when we go out for an initiative, it's with a consensus-driven plan that we're all behind. So we kind of take care of all that before we publish it and lock it down as our vision plan so that we all come together and pursue that en masse, as opposed to having some outliers that may have an issue with it or, you know, speak out against it. We just don't have that. Well, an interesting example in Metro Denver, one of the things that we did early on, we did major investment studies in all of our corridors, which are the growth corridors, which we lifted from the 30-year MPO plan. And we went to the communities, and it turned out to be a wonderful strategy because the products that come out of a major investment study are technology recommendation, alignment recommendations, and just numbers of how much people you think would use it. So when we went out there, it really created the downfield blocking, if you will, for the transit initiative because we asked people what they wanted. Here are your alternatives: bus rapid transit, light rail, commuter rail, do nothing, highway improvements. And out of that emanated these recommendations that were community driven. So what it turned out when we went to the ballot with the initiative, it was really a ground up plan. And some of them didn't follow the corridors we thought we would. One example is I-25 North is our major north-south arterial. One community, Adams County, said, we don't really want you to go there. Don't build it in a highway. Move over about 1.5 miles to the east on an old rail line. We have better opportunities for development. We could do more with it. We'd prefer that line to this one. That is just wonderful because it embeds community preference into your long-term plan and was very, very successful. And in the end, we're buying that railroad right-of-way and we're building that investment where they wanted it. So there's really, you know, fundamental buy-in at the very earliest stages of the plan development. We had built our first few rail lines, and they were so successful that the agenda in Metro Denver ceased to be, will it work? And it became, when do we get ours? Everybody wanted a line. So the board, my board of directors said, let's go out and do these major investment studies. Now, I come from the old school where you don't do the studies until you have a financing plan in place, which we didn't. The studies are not cheap. They were several $1 million a piece. But the board said, no, we're so committed, we're going to go ahead and take a leap of faith and do these. And I really was not supportive, but we did it. It was a board directive and we did it. In retrospect, it was the smartest thing we ever did because the communities got to look at how the planning process worked. They saw the alternatives, they made selections, they knew it was going to be in the plan. And it ceased to be RTD's plan, it became the community's plan, and that became our plan. Great sort of evolution of how the plan emerged. Be green, be sustainable, and again, the business community are some of our strongest supporters. These investments are really the best pro-business things you can do because really what you want to do is build a community that's receptive to and supportive of business, but you want to make sure you create a good environment for businesses to work in. One thing that gets overlooked is when you build a regional transit system is you're giving businesses access to your whole regional labor force. What happens a lot is a lot of your entry-level workers live in the inner city and have a hard time getting to emerging markets. When you build these transit investments, it goes both ways. You've got white-collar skilled workers coming from community to the central business district. You've got inner-city workers needing access to emerging job markets. It just brings it together, and it really makes the region work as a healthy organism where every part has access to every other part, and you can really market yourself as a working region. Development will occur. The other side is, and I mentioned this in my presentation, is a lot of people are going to access it by park and rides. You know, this is not those suburbs are not transit-dependent areas. In Denver, we average 2.3 cars per household, which is not atypical for modern cities. So people have the car. It's just, and cars are wonderful, they're just not good for every trip. If we could get people to drive a mile or two to a park and ride, take the train in, leave their car at home, we solve the problem because the congestion is on the major arterials. I drive my car a mile and a half to a park and ride, and I'm off the highway before I create a problem. It's a great model and it works, and it's a product that people want to use.